right, so here we have our first polynomial that does not have a 1 on the front. However, this one is easily fixed because if we pull out a greatest common factor, the 2 will pull out to the front. So we're going to do that, 2, and then we have a k squared. This divided by 2 is negative k. This divided by 2 is negative 12. And then this one is one of the easier ones to factor. We don't want to lose our 2. Okay, so we're going to keep our 2 down there, put our k and our k. We're looking for a product of 12, but opposite signs, so a difference of 1. Okay, so product of 12, difference of 1, 4, 3. Okay, so I'm going to put a 4, I'm going to put a 3. I want the difference to be negative, so I want my negative to be my greater number. And when I FOIL this back together, I do get a negative 3 on the end, and I do get a negative and a positive. Negative 4, positive 3 gives me a negative k in the middle. Okay, another one that does not have a 1 on the front, but the 3 can factor out. So we pull out a 3, and we get t cubed minus 5t squared plus 6t. Oops, I could have factored out a t as well. So I'm going to factor a t. I'm going to fix that. Factor out a t, which is going to make this one a square, and this one a t to the 1, and this t just disappears. I should have done that to start with. Okay? So now I'm going to pull down my 3t so I don't lose my factor, and now it's one of the simpler ones that just has a t and a t. We have a sum, so that means we have same sign, but this one says they're both negative, which means I'm going to split 6, 1, 3, 2 are my factors to get to 6, and I'm looking for a sum of 5, so I'm going to use the 3 and the 2. So minus 3 minus 2, and those are my factors. Okay, so here we have a 2 variable one. We've got an m squared n squared. So m, okay, so the n squared will factor out to the front. So let's factor the n squared out to the front. And then we've got an m squared plus a 2m minus a 15. Okay, so now what's left is one of our easier ones, so we can just make that an m and an m. And then factors multiply to 15, but have a difference of 2. So this one right here, because it's negative, means that they'll have opposite signs. So I'm going to use 5 and 3, because 5 and 3 multiply to 15 and have a difference of 2. And then I'm going to make the 5 positive, the 3 negative, so that when I FOIL it, I get back to what I would like it to be. Here is the first one that we cannot pull out a greatest common factor. We are stuck dealing with that 2. Now fortunately the 2 is not very difficult because there's only one way to factor 2. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 2x and an x over here. Okay, and then I'm going to look at my signs, same sign, both positive, so I can put those in there. And I'm going to factor 15 as 15 and 1 or 5 and 3. And this is the first one that I have to do just a little bit of actual trial and error. Okay, so on this one, I always start with my factors that are closest together. You've heard me say that in class. And I'm going to say, okay, if I put the 5 here and the 3 here, I'll get a 3x and a 10x, and they do add to 13x. So my first trial worked. Okay, and it's just that easy. Okay, you're trying out. You have 4 little options here. I usually try the ones closest together because I generally find that that makes for the right answer about 85% of the time. And as you practice this more and more, you will automatically begin to see which way to put these factors so that they factor very quickly. Okay, again, I have one that does not go to 1. I cannot pull out greatest common factor, but again, it's still pretty easy because 3 and 1 is the only way I can factor 3. So I'm just going to put my D and my 3D. And then 4 could be 4, 1, 2, 2. Okay, I will generally start with the ones that are closest together. If I put a 2 here and a 2 here, then I'm going to have 6 and 2. And we're adding together, and 6 and 2 is not going to give me 7. So I cannot put 2 and 2 in there any other way. So I'll say, okay, 2 and 2 did not work. I'll take those out, and I'll put in the 4 and the 1. But I know if I put the 4 here, I'm going to go up to 12. So I'm going to put the 4 here and the 1 here. And when I multiply, I get a 4D and a 3D, same sign, adding together to a 7D, and it is done. And I will be back with some more difficult ones in a moment.